Friends, Burkina Faso is a desert land where, as far as the eye can see, there is nothing but an ocean of sand. There, Ibrahim Traoré initiated a plan that left the world's experts stunned. Just imagine a land where for centuries even grass was considered impossible to grow. If someone had said that this place would one day be transformed into lush, green gardens, your first reaction would probably have been disbelief. Surely, it sounded impossible, but Ibrahim made the impossible possible. The question is, how? When Ibrahim Traoré took leadership of Burkina Faso, his biggest concern was the rapid desertification of the country's land. Every year, thousands of acres were lost to the spreading desert, and if this trend continued, future generations would starve for even a single grain of food. Traoré realized that if nothing was done now, it would be too late tomorrow. So, he launched a visionary campaign that involved not just the government, but the entire population. Astonishingly, Traoré did not limit the campaign to merely planting trees. He made it a national responsibility. He announced that every urban citizen had to plant a few trees every year or participate in their care. Even at weddings, couples would plant a tree in memory of their special day, so that their joy would coincide with the growth of a new tree. Soon, the campaign transformed into a national movement. People could be seen carrying saplings toward the desert, turning it into a symbol of hope for the entire country. For the first time in Burkina Faso's history, millions of trees were planted, but the story does not end here. Despite Traoré planting millions of trees, a shocking problem emerged after a few years. Sandstorms and strong winds uprooted the plants, while those trying to take root were either buried under sand or dried out completely. Another major obstacle was that the desert soil lacked nutrients. There was no sustenance where the plants needed it most, only dry sand. Naturally, most of the millions of newly planted trees died within the first 2 or 3 years. Seeing this, many people became disheartened and began saying that the desert could never be green. Some even claimed that Traoré's dream was far from reality. But Ibrahim refused to give up. He said that if the wounds of the land are deep, the remedy must also be substantial. And from this thinking, an ingenious idea was born that would change everything in the future. Traoré decided that if living plants could not withstand the harsh desert conditions, why not use dead plants to give life to the desert? Yes, he announced that the tons of leftover stalks, stems, and dead plants after the harvest would be collected and buried beneath the sand. People were amazed, some doubted whether dead plants could contribute anything to the soil. But Traoré's vision was focused on the future. Previously, thousands of tons of crop residues went to waste every year in Burkina Faso now. For the first time, they were being treated like treasure. Traoré instructed workers to arrange these stalks carefully on the sand, like a chessboard, with seeds planted inside. As the stalks decomposed, they would turn into natural fertilizer, giving the plants a new lease on life. This technique not only created fertilizer, but also prevented the sand from being blown away by the wind. It was as if the dead plants contained a hidden secret of life. In the heart of the desert, a foundation was being laid that would become revolutionary for Burkina Faso in the coming years. The arrangement of stalks like a chessboard stopped the uncontrolled movement of sand and protected the young plants. Imagine workers drenched in sweat under the scorching sun, laying out the stalks in long lines, golden and glittering in the sun. Seeds were planted inside these structures that could survive the harshest conditions. Within a few years, the stalks decomposed into fertilizer, nourishing the soil and allowing the plants to flourish. The sand that once blew uncontrollably was now contained, and the plants had the support they needed to grow. Slowly, grass and vegetation began to reclaim the desert, and this was achieved with a simple but incredibly effective practical wisdom. At first, experts doubted the method's effectiveness, but within a few years, the results astounded everyone. Sand movement was reduced by 99%, and plants that previously could not survive even a few years now took strong root. Traoré's vision was transforming the land and giving hope to the people that with effort and intelligence, the impossible could be achieved. Initially, the workers placed the stalks by hand, a labor-intensive process. But Traoré introduced modern machinery that automated the work. The machines turned the stalks into long, rope-like strands and laid them in straight lines across the sand. Remarkably, these strands lasted up to 6 years, could be reused, and saved both effort and time. It was as if a magical hand had woven a golden net across the desert. This method not only boosted plant growth, but multiplied the campaign's effectiveness 4 to 6 times. Traoré's approach proved that when technology and vision come together, even the greatest challenges can be overcome. But Traoré's plan went beyond planting trees. It transformed the country's infrastructure. When new railways and urban roads were planned across the desert, Experts claimed it was impossible. Sandstorms used to bury tracks and roads within moments, and builders feared the projects would fail. But Traoré applied the same technique of the stalk grids, where previously sandstorms would stop trains. Now golden grid-like stalks line both sides of the tracks. Plants growing inside these grids gradually stabilized the surrounding land. Roads that once vanished after months of sandstorms now stood firm for years. This success impressed experts worldwide, who said that if this technique worked in Burkina Faso, it could be replicated in other deserts around the globe. Traoré not only greened the desert, but also instilled a belief in his people that with determination and intelligence, the impossible can be made possible. Friends, this story teaches us that even when resources are limited, strong intent can turn barren lands into symbols of life. And perhaps this is why today, the world calls Ibrahim Traoré Africa's environmental hero.